Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're taking a closer look at Paradigm, the $12 billion crypto investment firm.
That's right. And we're drawing heavily from that really insightful Colossus article, Paradigm Shifts. It gives such a unique window into them.
It really does. So our mission here, for you listening, is to unpack how Paradigm spots potential, how they actually foster innovation, and, how they handle the sheer volatility of crypto.
Basically getting you up to speed on a major player in this whole evolving landscape.
Exactly. So first off, this description Matt Huang uses, Paradigm as an X-Men Academy.
Yeah, I love that quote. Brilliant mutants who possess unusual powers.
It
immediately tells you this isn't your typical Wall Street firm.
Not even close. And the article gives some pretty wild examples to back that up, like their first employee, Charlie Noyes.
Oh, yeah, I get this. A 19-year-old MIT dropout shows up 5 hours late for his first meeting.
5 hours and apparently just completely unapologetic about it.
Right, and now he's a general partner. It definitely signals something about their hiring philosophy.
It really does. A willingness to look past the usual stuff,
Totally. And then there's Georgios Konstantopoulos, the CTO, former, serious World of Warcraft player.
Yeah, turned top-tier crypto engineer.
Yeah.
And what about Transmissions 11? Found on Discord. Still in high school.
So the insight here isn't just hiring quirky people, right? It's about having a system, maybe even an instinct, for spotting raw talent where others just wouldn't look.
Yeah, this X-Men thing, it's like they're tapping into a different kind of intelligence pool.
But, Huang himself mentions the absurd amount of chaos that can come with it.
Right, so how do they actually manage that? How do they keep it from just falling apart?
Well, it seems to be about embracing a certain level of, let's say, non-conformity to unlock those unique abilities. It's a different management style. Less about rigid rules, more about the actual output.
It makes you wonder, doesn't it, how often potential gets missed just because someone doesn't fit the standard corporate mold.
Absolutely. Something for you to think about, for sure.
Okay, so moving on slightly. Their office location in San Francisco, that feels deliberate, overlooking both the financial district and Soma, the startup area.
It's very symbolic, yeah. It's like a physical bridge between those two worlds they operate in.
And Matt Huang's own background seems key here, his time at Sequoia.
Right, from 2014 to 2018. And Doug Leone thought very highly of him, didn't he? Called him super smart and incredibly humble. That's high praise from someone like Leone.
Definitely. And even before Sequoia, Huang showed this knack for spotting, revolutionary potential.
You mean the ByteDance investment?
Exactly. Meeting Zhang Yiming way back in 2012, the initial idea wasn't even fully formed, apparently.
But Huang was sold on Yiming himself, on his character and vision.
Yeah. He felt he had to invest based on the founder. And that turned into, a 9 or 10-figure return?
Wow. It just underscores how crucial assessing the founder is, especially in these really early, uncertain stages. More than just the initial product pitch.
Absolutely. So then, 2018, he leaves Sequoia, teams up with Fred Ursum from Coinbase.
And they launched Paradigm. Though Ursum eventually stepped back a bit, right, believing Huang was the right person to lead day to day.
Yeah. And Huang's upbringing, it's almost like it was designed for this. His dad, a financial theorist, involved with long-term capital management.
Whoa, LTCM, that's a story in itself.
Right. And his mom, a pioneer in parallel computing, Caltech, Yale.
So you've got finance, math, high-level computing all converging in his family background.
Makes sense why Paradigm isn't just another VC fund.
Exactly. That blend is foundational. So how does this unique mix, the talent, the background, shape how Paradigm actually operates as an investment firm?
Well, the article really hammers this home. They're not just investors. They're like a research lab plus an engineering team, but with serious financial chops.
They're building stuff, too, actively developing foundational crypto infrastructure.
Yeah, that bullseye liquidity example is perfect.
Yeah.
Developed by Dan Robinson and Dave White for stablecoin trading. Improves efficiency massively.
And then they just published it, open sourced it.
Even knowing competitors could benefit. Which seems counterintuitive for a finance firm, maybe?
But maybe it's strategic. By strengthening the whole ecosystem, they make the environment better for all their investments, present and future. It builds goodwill, attracts talent.
That makes sense. It's a longer game. Plus, there's this heavy emphasis on deep research, mathematical proofs. Dave White using OpenAI's O1 Pro.
Yeah, really fundamental work, not just surface-level analysis.
And Huang's leadership style fits this, apparently. More listening than talking.
That's what Patrick Collison from Stripe observed. Said the insight per minute with Matt is very high, even if he's quiet for stretches. quality over quantity.
I like that. And this culture of excellence, Brian Armstrong's, no tolerance for mediocrity, end quote.
Combined with that humility and integrity Leone and Collison mentioned, seems like a powerful combination.
And you see the impact, right? The article claims their tools power, like 90% of smart contract development, facilitating hundreds of billions in transactions.
And earning trust from huge endowments, Harvard, Stanford, Yale, plus Sequoia backing them too. They're definitely doing something different, and it seems to be working.
Okay, so digging a bit deeper into Huang's background. His early life seems pretty formative too, living alone in Tokyo as a kid.
Yeah, that sounds intense. Navigating a huge city like that on your own must build incredible self-reliance and, well, adaptability.
And those family dinners described as being like investment committee meetings.
Huh! Imagine that pressure cooker. High intellectual bar from day one, I guess.
Plus, experiencing the LTCM collapse firsthand through his family.
And then seeing his father rebuild successfully with Platinum Grove. That must give you a profound understanding of risk, failure, and recovery in finance.
For sure. And apparently they moved around a lot. Different cultures.
Which likely sharpened his social intelligence, right? Reading people, fitting in, connecting across different backgrounds. Useful skills for a VC.
Definitely. And while maybe he wasn't always engaged by standard schoolwork,
he clearly focused intensely on things that grabbed him. Math club, strategy games like StarCraft.
Yeah.
You see that competitive focus later on.
Right. And then that key moment, his friend dropping out of MIT for Dropbox.
So that seems to have been the spark.
Yeah.
Pulled him towards Silicon Valley, toward entrepreneurship.
Even his first startup, Hotspots, which he called a terrible idea,
got acquired by Twitter. So even the failures were learning experiences, giving him early tech industry exposure.
And by 2012, he felt Silicon Valley was getting predictable, which led him to look towards China.
And boom, the ByteDance connection again. It shows that willingness to zig when others zag, to trust his own read on people and potential.
So what really flipped the switch for him from general tech interest to this deep conviction specifically in crypto?
Well, he first encountered Bitcoin back in 2010 at MIT. I saw it mostly as an intellectual curiosity then.
Right, the blend of math, economics, computer science.
Exactly. But it wasn't until 2012 actually investing on Mt. Gox, that infamous exchange.
Oh yeah, Mt. Gox.
Yeah.
Risk.
Totally. He said he felt he needed to experience a bubble firsthand to really get it, which is quite an admission.
It shows a commitment to like experiential understanding.
Right.
Not just theory.
And then leaving Sequoia, a top-tier firm, to start Paradigm with Ursum. That's a massive bet.
Especially with Michael Moritz reportedly calling him Sequoia's only regrettable loss. Huge validation.
It speaks volumes about how strongly he believed in crypto's future back in 2018.
So Paradigm was built on these two core ideas.
Yeah.
Crypto's going to be huge.
And there weren't enough investors who truly understood it from the inside, who were genuinely crypto native.
Graham Duncan apparently thought their early growth plans were kind of nuts, but they pulled it off.
And their first fund had that novel structure too, didn't it? Open-ended.
Yeah, and deploying capital fast into Bitcoin and Ethereum during the 2018 crypto winter, that took guts when prices were cratering.
Serious conviction. It showed they weren't just fair weather investors, they believed in the long-term tech.
And those early hires were absolutely critical. Charlie Noyes again.
Yeah, with his deep intuitive feel for crypto, identifying things like MEV, miner extractable value, early on.
That's the whole thing where miners can reorder transactions for profit, right?
Yeah.
Pretty complex stuff.
Definitely. Then Dan Robinson, bringing that technical depth, the research focus, contributing massively to Uniswap.
And Alana Palmetto, setting up the operational side, the institutional rigor, building the culture.
You put those pieces together, and the results. Their first fund had phenomenal returns, apparently. It really validated that initial bold vision.
So beyond just making money, what's driving Huang's belief here? What's the deeper motivation?
The article suggests it's partly rooted in a sort of skepticism towards centralized authority, a desire for a different kind of system.
Concerns about too much control in one place, referencing things like Operation Choke Point.
Exactly. Seeing crypto as a potential way to give individuals more control, more autonomy over their digital lives and assets.
Okay. And he sees crypto evolving in stages.
Yeah, 3 stages. First, crypto as money. Second, as a new financial system. And third, as like a whole new internet platform.
And he feels we've made good progress on stage 1, the money part. With Bitcoin adoption, ETFs, institutions getting involved.
Right. BlackRock, Fidelity recommending allocations, Bitcoin's becoming more mainstream as a store of value, at least in some circles.
Then stage two, the financial system, that's where stablecoins come in big time.
Absolutely. Their growth has been explosive, enabling lots of DeFi applications. Paradigm saw that early.
Stage three, the internet platform.
Yeah.
That's still pretty nascent, right? Digital ownership, direct user interactions.
Very early days. But Huang sees the potential, similar to the early internet. He acknowledges the scams, the volatility, the dark side, but argues you need that long-term view.
Like how the dot-com bubble, despite the crashes, laid the groundwork for the web we use today.
Precisely. And stablecoins are a good case study there too. Lots of speculation initially, but it drove real infrastructure improvements. Now you see major companies using them for real-world payments. SpaceX, Scale AI, Stripe buying Bridge.
Interesting. It's not always a straight line from idea to useful product. And he sees crypto adoption as multiplayer.
Yeah, unlike AI, which one person can sort of use alone, crypto often needs network effects, coordinated adoption to really work. Makes it trickier, maybe slower.
And Patrick Olsen's point about Huang being calm, rigorous, patient, that seems like the right temperament for this space.
Totally. You need that steady hand through the cycles. And importantly, despite all the buzz around AI now, Paradigm is sticking to its guns with crypto. They believe it's fundamental and needs dedicated champions.
Which leads into their whole approach to invention, right? Not just picking winners, but actually helping create the conditions for success.
Yeah, that research-driven style really solidified with Dan Robinson's hiring, this idea of exploratory research.
So, inventing new things, exploring theoretical questions, not just evaluating existing projects.
Exactly. And crypto offers this unique leverage through mathematical mechanisms, like Vitalik Buterin's ICE-YK formula for decentralized exchanges.
The simple equation that powers multi-billion-dollar platforms like Uniswap allows trading without middlemen.
Right. And Paradigm's involvement with Uniswap is a prime example of their approach. Seed investment, sure, but then actively helping improve V2, developing the concentrated liquidity breakthrough for V3.
They're really in the trenches, technically, and building custom solutions too, like the Blend protocol for NFT lending for their portfolio companies.
And having researchers involved in every investment decision, that gives them a huge edge. They can spot fundamental flaws.
Like with algorithmic stablecoins, Terra, for example. They stayed away because the underlying mechanics didn't hold up to scrutiny.
That seems to be the implication. Their deep technical understanding acts as a filter. Plus, the Paradigm Fellowship, finding and backing young developers, it's all about building that ecosystem and talent pipeline.
It's a very proactive, very technical way to invest, much more than just writing checks. But, look, it hasn't all been smooth sailing, has it? Navigating crypto's reputation and volatility.
No, definitely not. That whole crypto website rebranding thing, remember that?
Oh, yeah. It caused quite a stir. Why did they even do that?
Apparently some concerns from AI collaborators they were working with, but the crypto community saw it as like them backing away and the reaction was strong.
Shows how much the community sees Paradigm as a leader, maybe?
Yeah.
Standard bearer?
Could be. Then you had the big market downturn in 2021, 2022. The shift in focus towards AI everywhere.
And Fred Ursum had actually warned about cycles back in 2021, right? Pretty prescient.
Yeah. And Wang admitted they made mistakes during the bull run euphoria, overhiring, maybe letting the quality bar slip slightly.
And of course the FTX investment. That had to hurt.
Hugely. A major black eye. And the big lesson Huang seemed to take was about founder alignment, not just on financial goals, but on the actual mission and vision for crypto's future. Shared values became critical.
Were there other missteps mentioned? OpenSea, BlockFi.
Yeah, those were noted too. Part of the learning process, reflecting on what went wrong. But the key seems to be maintaining that long-term view, even when things look bleak.
So their response wasn't to bail, but to refocus, get smaller, leaner, double down on that founder mission alignment.
Exactly. Adaptability seems key. And that website reaction, maybe it reinforced their role within crypto, even if it was awkward at the time.
Okay, so let's talk about the building aspect more. Georgios Konstantopoulos, the CTO, seems central here.
Absolutely. A key figure. Hired based on his technical reputation, but Huang had this unique vision for his role combining research and investment evaluation, not just a typical CTO job.
And his philosophy. Things people tell you are hard usually aren't. They're only hard because you don't have agency over your tools.
Love that. It's about taking control, building the tools you need instead of accepting limitations. Very proactive.
And his contributions are massive. Foundry, the smart contract development tool.
Became the industry standard, apparently. Made building secure contracts way easier. Huge impact.
And Ratif. rebuilding Ethereum's core software from scratch.
Yeah, resulting in major performance gains. These aren't small tweaks, they're fundamental infrastructure projects.
And they open source them.
Mostly, yeah. Which creates this virtuous cycle. Build great tools, attract great developers, identify new problems, build more tools.
And then they spun out Ithaca, led by Konstantopoulos, to commercialize some of this tech.
Right. So investing, researching, building, and now even spinning out companies based on that internal R&D. It's a really integrated model.
And the article mentions even someone like Konstantopoulos finds mentorship and challenge from Huang. Speaks to the environment there.
It does. And Huang himself is apparently rethinking VC, questioning if firms should actually found companies, not just fund them.
That's pushing the boundaries. So ultimately, Paradigm's built trust by focusing on creation, on adding value, not just extracting it or controlling things, staying true to that original thesis.
Okay, so let's try and wrap this up. What are the key takeaways from this deep dive into Paradigm?
Well, for me, it really comes down to that unique mix. Unconventional talent scouted unconventionally.
Deep technical expertise blended with financial savvy.
A real commitment to open innovation, building for the whole ecosystem, not just themselves.
And this unwavering long-term vision for crypto, plus the willingness to actually get their hands dirty and build the future they envision.
Right. So the aha moment for you listening might be realizing that real breakthroughs in these super dynamic fields like crypto often need more than just money.
Yeah, it needs that blend investment, sure, but also research, active engineering, and crucially finding those uniquely skilled people, those mutants.
It's a much more integrated approach.
Definitely. So here's the final thought to leave you with. What happens when the line between investor and builder gets this blurry? Could this paradigm model, this active, building-focused VC, work in other fast-moving industries?
Like what fundamental problems in other fields are waiting for this kind of integrated approach? And maybe more importantly, who are the brilliant mutants out there, maybe overlooked right now, who could solve them?
Something to chew on.
Absolutely. Well, that's all the time we have for this deep dive. Join us next time for another exploration.